do you consider learning and preparations? Is it work time? So how do you balance it?
I don't balance it, you stupid cunt. Haven't you got the fucking point yet? A balanced life is a lot of shit. There is no balance. Do you think the devil has a fucking balanced life? Do you think God has a balanced life, if you believe in him? No. One does good and one does evil. There is no balance.
No, with spare time, but with preparations.
No, well, preparation is part of my work. I'm anal enough. I'm German enough to want to be prepared. But I'm not embarrassed to say I don't know. There's not much stuff that I have to say I don't know about, but there are certain things I don't know. And so then I'll get back to you. But then I do get back to you. Unlike, a lot of people that put it on a list and never get around to it. I get back to you. I feel it incumbent upon me, not just as a leader, coach, mentor, etc., but as a person. When I tell you I'm going to do something. Like when I tell class I'm going to be at a meeting, I fucking do it. It's like this pavilion. We started having some weddings here, and because I didn't live here anymore full time, I wanted to squeeze the asset. I wanted to leave something my kids didn't have to worry about, even though it's in a trust. And so we were talking about, and we looked at the market, and there's no place in this part of Scotland that can seat 300 or 400 people. I said, oh, okay. Well, let's build a thing, and then I can use, we didn't plan this for the seminar, and I guess I could have big seminars and charge people £100 and maybe get 400 or 500 people. I don't want to do that. And so we built it. When I say so, I didn't have to. We did a little bit of marketing, enough marketing to study that nobody else had this. And so it was even so the struggle, as I said yesterday, was getting planning permission though, because I underestimated that. And but all the other people, my lawyers, oh no, they'll forget that you sued them. Sure they will. Sure they will. Those three didn't forget. And they show up for on-site inspections. The council doesn't have on-site inspections for anything. Here they did. Yeah. So it was an interesting exercise, but it's done, And so it's £1 million albatross, more or less. Because when I'm dead and I stop doing we do weddings in it. And it's been very successful as a wedding venue. The other thing I can do to make it even better is build like a hotel here where we could sleep 300. But then that kills the shit out of the whole estate, and I don't want that because I don't want people running around. Then that means I got to have the hotel open all year round, and I got to have fucking little morons walking up and down, and I don't need that. I got enough fucking headaches. I got enough fucking headaches getting phone calls from mentees with stupid questions. I don't need thousands and thousands of guests coming through here a year. But as the estate guys say, but you're not here. You're only here a few weeks a year. So you don't have to deal with it. And I said, no, just the fact that I know they're crawling around the state would make me ill. Some of the stuff that you haven't done, we're talking about rules still, building your own foundation. Some of the stuff you haven't done, it's because you haven't attempted because you think it's not possible. And it's only impossible because you haven't tried it. But depending on the gravity of the thing that you might contemplate attempting, embarrassment is associated with it. You don't want to be too wrong. But normally it's too wrong in your own eyes, not in wrong in anybody else's eyes. Everybody else expects people to make mistakes. But it's too embarrassing for you to be associated with a mistake. So you don't do it. And in life, normally what happens, as opposed to getting more mature and expanding the box with worldwide experiences, our box gets smaller and smaller and smaller as we get older. Not bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's why when you get old people, they don't want any change. So life experiences that are supposed to enhance our ability to cope do just the opposite. Old people don't want to, travel, and they don't. Oh, I hate zone changes, time zone changes, and all this shit that you hear. So when I'm coming back from Hong Kong to Los Angeles, 15-hour difference, 16-hour daylight saving. it's supposed to take you 1 week for every hour of time change. If that was the case, I would never, I could never catch up. Never. But I'm doing it, every few weeks. Sometimes I do it 2-3 times a month, depending on, what's happening. I know people that have to, they need a week to recover from jet lag. I was famously quoted many years ago in Financial Times when I made popular jetting back and forth between Houston and London, and New York and London, because the company was headquartered in Houston, Texas. And I said, jet lag is for cunts.
I feel New York, London isn't a problem at all.
No.
Because you can leave here at 8, 9 in the evening, you're there by midnight New York time, so it's not an issue at all, and you can fly back overnight, get some sleep overnight, and be in the office by 8 in the morning.
Yeah. I used to on the Concorde, you used to arrive before you landed, before you took off. You'd leave at 9:15 and you'd arrive at 9, same day. And I knew people, I did it once myself, where they were back and forth on Concorde the same day. So virtually there was no jet lag. But that's a big change, and people don't like it.
I have a question.
Okay, guys, sit down, please. Go ahead.
You said that you've been broken financially like 6 times.
5 times, yeah.
5 times, okay. How do you recover each time, like specifically?
They're all different. They're all different. I mean, the question was, I've been busted, nearly broke 5 times in my life, and I come back with a new project. I convince people to put up money based on the times that I've been successful, and and make a big success from it. So but I still have the ability to people that want to be involved in things that I do because that I've been, for the very majority of my career, I've been very successful, and so they believe in what I say that I can do it again. And it comes up with a new idea, a different idea, and not the same old idea, because people always ask me why I don't go back in the energy business. I mean, I have a theory that you don't return to the scene of the crime, and plus, I mean, I want to do something different that gets me excited. I did it for a lot of years, and I was very successful at it. Especially since I was a non-engineer, non-geologist, non-oil guy. I was a Wall Street guy that came and did financial engineering and showed them how to do different things that they hadn't done before. But now everybody's doing them, so I mean, it's nothing different. And then and now, I've been to the internet a couple of times and I've been pretty successful. I've been in various other things. I was in publishing, in the success business, Success Development Inc. with Ron LeGrand, which was interesting. And so now I'm looking for new ideas I'm not broke now, but I'm looking for new ideas in China. And I plan on spending the next 5-10 years there. Maybe I'll end my career in China. We'll see.
When were you talking of broke? Are you talking illiquid or are you talking broke?
Illiquid.
Yeah. So I mean, many wealthy people are illiquid.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm illiquid where I have no access to any money. I've had the constructive trust problem twice. And so you can have 500 million euros, but if you can't write a check for $2, it doesn't do you much good. And especially the banks always think you're going to lose. They have to take that position. They have to take that position to protect themselves. And even though I don't, they still take that position. And even though the banks always apologize for taking that position after you come out of it, it doesn't do you any good. And especially now, as you so aptly pointed out, Stefan, the fact that I don't know anybody at these banks anymore. It doesn't matter how long you've been there. You might as well just be a whore and jump from bank to bank, which is still emotionally hard for me to do, but I do it, and I advise my people to do it. And the people that come to me and if they want me to be chairman and they're from Scotland or the American, they want to say, well, maybe we could use Bank of America, but I don't know any Bank of America anymore. I don't know anybody. Plus, Bank of America does regional lending. They lend by pools, you know. And I mean, most deals that I see you guys bring me can't come up against the regional lending concept because your deals, your rates of return vis-a-vis your collateral, vis-a-vis your potential securitization aren't great enough, good enough to compete with other things. There's too many other things that produce too good rates of return now.
And sort of the branch-based lending, which was easier for the property guys because
Yeah.
you had a local contact. Most of that now, if you are above a certain threshold, goes to the head office. And
Correct.
Then it's much more difficult to get face time, even if it's just a few minutes, with the guy who takes the decision, because the guy says, well, really, we take the decision in the branch. We just prepare it for rubber stamping, but in the end, it's not like that because they haven't put down everything on paper. You said some final detail is missing, and therefore it doesn't get approved quickly enough. So since Basel II, since the banking system themselves needs to be more careful. It takes a lot longer if you reach, the size of what your branch can lend.
Yeah, and when we're talking about banking, you want a bank that can take you to the next level, not just your initial funding, but the next level. And it's an interesting dichotomy in today's financial world because everybody has been so taken back about because so many people have been burned in this last collapse, this last fiasco. But there's still people lending, But we'll talk more about that. But we'll talk about asset lending, and we'll talk about cash flow lending and all the other things. But I will tell you one thing: the third guarantee. There is somebody that will fund your fucking doofus project in the world. I say that categorically. And when we talk about Tom Winkler, he did 2,500 presentations, 2,500 banks, financial institutions.
So it would help to always have a list of the top 10 doofuses lending, so we don't have to make 2,500 presentations.
No, I want you to specifically to do 2,500. I want to see if you've got any balls. I already know the answer, but
with a 100% success rate, he doesn't have to do.
Yeah, that's bullshit. I mean, that's the reason why he hasn't been more successful. There aren't rules for success unless you. There aren't rules of success that you work unless you do. No rules of success work unless you do. And Tom Winkler is a classic example. Back in the late 90s, Lucinda Burke, David Reeker, and Bruce Whipple made 1,400, 1,700, and 1,900 calls on financial institutions, respectively. Over 4,000 between the three of them. And they got their money. Lucinda, huh?
How much money?
Well, I mean, 10, 20, 40 minutes, whatever the projects, they always got them. Lucinda Burke was the most successful. She got money from Microsoft. She got money from General Motors Acceptance Corporation. I mean, she was in the big leagues. Bruce and David didn't get up into the big leagues. Lucinda got the best phone of anybody I've ever known in my entire life, and I know a lot of people that are good on the phone, and I'm good on the phone. She was better than I am. But she always wanted to meet the people. And she's 5 feet tall, 4'8", 4'9", something like that. She looked 12, 14 years old. She was a genius. She is a genius. I'm sure if she's still alive. But she wanted to meet him. That was her Achilles heel. It was important for her emotional bank account to meet him. And as soon as they met her, I mean, their dicks got limp. And some of you shouldn't be talking to banks. We're going to get to that. I don't know if maybe you're the last fucker that ought to be talking to the banks because of your diploma. I can't imagine anybody giving the impaler any fucking money under any set of circumstances. And I told the other Romanian doofus the same thing. I mean, there's something about them. I mean, they look like crooks. You look like a fucking Italian pimp. I mean, you know.
I got money already.
Yeah, okay, you're a fucking Italian pimp.
From banks, of course.
Okay. And I love this, but Winston Churchill. We're not doing our best. You have to succeed in doing what's necessary. I don't want to hear when we're on these conference calls. I'm doing my best. Make a note there in your little fucking diaries, on your Palm Pilots, or whatever the fuck you use. Don't tell me that. I am not interested. I'm doing my best. Keep your mouth shut. You know. Because that negative answer might, especially with this group, it'll affect the fucking poor pea brains of the other ones. Because by definition, you dipshits, when you say you're doing your best, that means you fucking didn't get it done. Don't you realize that? Dad, I'm doing my best. I don't give a fuck. You got straight A's or you didn't get fucking straight A's. Forget about it. Click. By definition, when you say that, it's a cop-out. When you say it in German, I'm doing my best. How do you say that in German?
Well, ask around.
Okay.
Ich gebe mein Bestes. Mein Bestes gegeben, ja.
He said it one way, you said it.
It's slightly like, different way, yeah.
Okay.
Manche sagen sogar, ich habe das Beste versucht.
I never say that I always get it done. I never say this.
Well, we're going to find out soon enough. Okay.
It's small.
Okay. Okay. So by definition, when you say you're doing your best, I know. You know, it's like your wife would say, let's say, or your girlfriend or whatever you got. Are you being faithful to me, honey? I'm doing my best. Now there you all get it, don't you, dipshits? Have you stayed off drugs to your kid? I'm doing my best, Dad. Jesus Christ. I mean, can I be that much more fucking smart than all these people? It's unbelievable, the fucking stupidity. Okay. Now we're going to talk about, we're through with rules, or there are no rules. We're going to talk about beyond common sense. This will be a little, all these sections are tough for the Germans, but I mean, this should be a little tougher. Because Germans like consensus management. Especially since the last time they didn't have consensus management, they got in a lot of trouble. They like consensus management a lot. Okay. And I saw it, you know, with Siemens for 10 years, and I saw it, not just there, but a lot of people. And that's the whole idea, I believe, in the supervisory board and the executive board system, which I think is pretty fucking archaic and ought to be disbanded, but that's my own opinion. Because common consensus can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. And a lot of times people will not want to embarrass themselves by not disagreeing, or they don't want to embarrass you. The British are very much interested in not embarrassing you, especially if you're on the board. And normally it's a bunch of old cronies on the board. So, you know, Stefan brought me on the board, so I don't want to embarrass Stefan, even though he might have said something I don't agree with, and vice versa. So, you know, it's the old cronies, you know. The old boys' school is alive and well in the UK, I can tell you that right now. It has, you know, it's diminished maybe 10% in the 30 years that I've been here. And my experience in Germany, the old boys' school is alive and well there too. And the same in the Netherlands. So the old boys' schools are alive and well. And in the big cities, it's still alive and well, but it has deteriorated a little in America. Not much, but a little. Because common sense is only common experience. That's all it is. Common experience. Doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's right. And it's interesting to me that I've heard common sense common sense dictates, Dan. I don't know how many times, but a whole bunch of times. Common sense dictates this and that, and you read it in the newspapers all the time. And and it's you know, it's not. It's just it's common experience. Contrary to being common sense, I want you to unleash the dogs. Okay, we're going beyond common sense. I once, you know, we talk about our primal instincts. Okay, and very much they're primitive instincts. But we've existed, you know, a few million years as into Homo sapiens, and 60,000 years into what we consider what we are now, from 60,000 years ago, and it's based on we were more of unleashing the dog then than we are now. And I say unleash the dog because a dog can't hunt on a leash. And you, in effect, kept yourself on leashes most of your lives. You know, especially now it's socially correct, what's politically correct. It's like, you know, how often has your mother, well, that's not acceptable behavior. You know, your mom has told us that when you were growing up. Or your father has told you that it's not socially acceptable behavior. Am I missing something?
No.
So when you go back, and it's going to be an experiment for you, because I'm going to tell you that you've got to let your employees off the leash. You know, by definition, based on what we've covered so far in a day and a half, they're not prepared to go off the leash. So there's a dichotomy. What do? Well, you could do it the German way. You could train them the next 2 years. Or you can piecemeal and show them through example what to do. My suggestion is that you show them by example what to do. Some of you thought that you were leading from the front before, and hopefully your definition of leading from the front has changed, because you have to show these people, you have to hold their hand, unless you want to get rid of them all when you go back. If you don't want to do that, then you're going to have to hold their hand, because they won't learn on their own. I can guarantee that. Left to their own devices, they'll take the weakest way out, the weakest link out, the easiest path of least resistance, which is their comfort zone. And we already know where their comfort zone is. Not much different than your comfort zone. Yes?
I mean, taking them by the hand is one method. Throwing them into the cold water to see whether they can swim is another. So how do you balance it?
Okay. Well, I hadn't got to that one, but yeah, thank you for bringing it up. If you throw them into the cold water, then prepare to fire them. Don't just, you're going to let them drown, and they may fuck up your deal or do whatever. Or you're going to put your hand like in a Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Snap them out from, the jaws of defeat. And then you're still holding them by the hand. So, but I mean, I'm for sink or swim. That's my method. Sink or swim. And I'll save them maybe one time from drowning, but not likely twice. My son knows he's going to China to sink or swim. He called me up, and he didn't call me up, because I won't allow him to have an international phone, because I don't want him, talking to his girlfriend. So he emailed me, hey Dad, do we? And I had already fired my second Chinese secretary there, because she told me something that was in China it's all right to lie to people. It's considered socially acceptable. But she lied to me, and I didn't think it was so socially acceptable, so I fired her. Anyway, so he said, Dad, do we have anybody in China that can help me? My internet's down, and I don't know what to do. I texted her back. I said, you're shit out of luck. Figure it out yourself. Now, I could have made a phone call. I could have called one of my Chinese law firms. I could have done a lot of things. But I didn't do any of them. 3 or 4 days later, I got my weekly report from him. And under problems, challenges, none. He emailed me the report, so I assume he figured it out. Now, what would you have done? I'm not interested, don't tell me. But anyway, what would you have done? You know, if it was your youngest, well, it's my youngest son. I only have 2 sons, but my youngest son. And was I worried or concerned? Yeah. I like to be in contact with him. But I don't give him an international phone, so I can't be in contact with him that way. His Chinese phone, he can only accept calls from China and make calls to China. So I couldn't call him because I'm not in China with my Chinese phone. So, you know, we were out of communication for a week. But he figured it out.
It's not a death and life situation.
No, it's not. Well, I would assume that if it was a life and death situation, he would have, because he's got a U.S. phone too, but he doesn't use it because he's responsible for his own U.S. phone bill. And he made one phone call to his girlfriend. It was $542. So that was the end of that fucking phone romance. You know, that was the end of that romance. And then he tried texting, and that was about $300. That was the end of that. So if he's not, what do you call it?
Skype or Messenger.
No, he didn't. I don't know if he does. Well, if he does that, I don't know about it. I don't like Skype. You know, and this is another thing. If you got to be worried about Skyping to pay for your phone bills, don't call me. Please, don't waste my time. If you're worried about your fucking taxes, don't bother me. You're not making enough fucking money. Yeah, why don't you Skype? Fuck you, why don't I Skype? Why don't I masturbate in public too? I mean, what are you, fucking crazy? You think Bill Gates Skypes? Fuck no. Only mooches like you Skype.
I don't Skype.
Okay. Oh, I don't Skype. He makes no mistakes?
No.
Anyway, he's never been turned by alone?
No, the same reason. Many people say, oh, I have Skype. And I say, yes, leave me
That's
alone.
fine. That's, you know, and there's another thing, not Skype, what's it called? Instant Messenger?
Yeah, something like
Is that the same thing?
almost.
Same functionality, I think.
Okay, anyway, I don't do that shit, you know. And I just, you know, phone. If I got to worry about the phone bill, I mean, forget it. Something's wrong. I'm not doing something right, you know. And I try to do as many things right as possible. And so when we already, you know, when we're setting up this conference call, it ain't going to be Skype. I can assure you of that. It's not going to be Skype. And I'll probably figure out some doofus way to try to make it hard for you. So just so you understand, it won't be easy. If it was easy, everybody could do it. I think I'm going to have fun with these conference calls. I'll be able to beat people intermittently. Klaus used to say, have you had a seminar lately? I go, why? He says, because maybe you'll have some of the venom out of you. You'll have unleashed some of the venom from beating the attendees. I says, Klaus, you make me sound terrible. She says, yes, Dan. Okay. Beyond common sense, there's a lot of myths, and the next couple of days we're going to dispel a lot of these myths in business. One of which is the myth about how to raise money, which comes tomorrow and the next day. And some of the myths are about relationships and the lack thereof. And Stefan already stole some of my thunder. A lot of the banks, it doesn't matter now because you don't know the guy anymore. So you know you're dealing with a new, fresh face. So my old style of building up relationship and following bankers, still following bankers to a new bank still works. If he's going to be in a different kind of position. If he's in the same goddamn position that he is now, where he doesn't really have any authority, then it doesn't make any difference. You know, and I also follow lawyers, and I also follow accountants, and I have. And I've had 2 or 3 guys be made partner off my back on my account because I brought in a lot of billing. Okay, if you bill that much for a year, you're a partner in 4 years instead of 6 years, and that kind of thing. And I've built up tremendous loyalty with the professionals. When I need to get something done by a lawyer or an accountant, I normally can get it done pretty goddamn quickly, no matter what. In the middle of tax season, I can get accountants to do stuff for me because, you know, I don't look at it as they owe me. They look at it as they owe me because I've given them a lot of business, and I've driven a lot of clients their way. And that's the name of the game.